Hello. Just came back from driving around out on the town, and saw some interesting sights. Not all good, but not all bad. Remember one time when, back in the day, women were more, um, they were more ladylike. Not, and a lot of women are ladylike, but some of them, you know, I remember leaving out of a restaurant today, and I remember opening the door up for these two young ladies coming in. They had to be about maybe 17, 18 years old. And I said, prepare yourself. They may not even say thank you. And lo and behold, they both said thank you. And I said, what? I said, okay, somebody raised them. Uh, Now I'm in my car, I'm driving up the road, bus stops in front of me, lets off some of the passengers. And I heard a sound of something hitting the ground. I looked down, and there was a cup. The two young ladies about the same age, 15, 16 years old. And the cup hit the ground, and both of them laughed and laughed. And then the other one was in front, just just spit right on the ground. And I looked at that and said, "Oh my goodness!" I said, "There was a time when young ladies wouldn't do that. I remember that they just wouldn't do that." And her friend followed her with laughter of her being low down when she threw it on the ground, the cup, and it was just a low down type of behavior. And then she spat on the ground, and I thought that was really low. I said, okay, just keep driving. And that's what I did. And on the other end, um, there was times when I remember when they used to be very friendly. Good evening. Good evening. Hello. And I don't know how you did that. Well, I guess because you're not showing that you're in the room, but you type something. Okay, now it's showing one person in the room. But I got to say that I'm not taking anything out on the ladies. I'm not doing that because um, the guys are just as bad in some cases, uh, and you have to look at that. They just are. But um, I give a good example. I work at a certain place where people come and go all the time, and I remember there was a young man. He had to be about 15 years old, and he was in a chair, and it was the only chair in there to sit in. And he was out sleep. He was just sleeping. I'm trying to take care of my business, and half an hour goes by, 45 minutes go by, and he wakes up, and he's all asleep, and he's trying to wipe the sleep from his eyes. And I said, "Excuse me, young man." I said, "Could you do me a favor and let the young lady sit? She's been standing there quite a while." And the young lady said, "Excuse me," in a very angry kind of tone. She said, "That's my son. That's my son." And I said, "I understand." I said, "I'm just thinking that, you've been standing for since I've been here. And maybe a good thing if you want to get more comfortable that you sit down. It's the only chair." Now, all I was saying was that there was a time when a man would get up and allow a woman or a lady to sit down. But in this young boy's upbringing, if I can use that word loosely, it was okay for him to allow his mother to stand. I couldn't do that. My mother was the center of the house, and she did not stand. You did not let Mama stand this woman is your mother and queen of the house. And on the top of that, you being a younger individual, let her sit down. So she was protective over him by the fact that maybe the tone of my voice, a man's voice, telling her young man to allow her to sit down. She didn't like it. Um, and she became quite agitated, to say the least. So I thought to myself, I said, well, let her stand. If she's comfortable with this way that they do things in their particular tribe, I said, allow her to do that. She has a right. And I looked at it and I said, wow, that's interesting. It's kind of like when you are growing food and you say to people, I'm growing food, and it depends on what neighborhood you're in, and they give you that look. The parents are the problem these days. I could not agree more. Because if I look at it, you got the sperm donor that made the child is nowhere around in most cases, and the mother having the child at such a young age, and her mother at such a young age, and no one's there to teach anybody how to properly parent. And so they treat their daughters and their sons as though they were buddies. And there is no adult in the house that is one with the common sense, the one that knows how to get certain things done and know that there is a hierarchy in the house, mother and father, not the son dominating over the mother or the daughter dominating over the mother. It's a situation where um, nowadays it's a free for all in the house. So when I see that, I wind up with one of these people in your presence or in your life. If a guy starts hanging out with a guy that's low down, and and he gets your son or another individual in trouble with the law or with other people, it's sad. And the women, some of these guys got to be very, very careful not to get tied up with some of these women that that have grown up in these kind of households. I mean, that's where the phrase came from. Everything look good isn't good. Um, and when you look at something that is round and voluptuous, but when you hear them think and what comes out of their mouth and their behavior, you have a woman that's 30 but acting like she's 15. You have a man that's 30 acting like he's 14. And that is accepted in some family households, to never grow up, to never be responsible for anything other than what you can do for them. And that's all they're concerned about. So that's just my take on it. I drove around today and I'm very observant. I paid attention to things. Um, oh, yes, it is. It is. It is. But see, I keep thinking that a big part of it is me because, I'm an older person and I look at it from the eyes of a person who remember um, uh, older women teaching the boys to pull out the chair and to push in the chair for their sister, to get into the habit of opening the door for ladies. Um, that's where I came from. And when somebody gives you something, oh, oh, thank you, I appreciate it, thank you very much. Um, that is what follows. But now you can give a person something, and they'll just take it, do whatever they're going to do with it. Never look in your direction. You can hold the door open for one of these ladies I was speaking of earlier. and you will get no acknowledgement of thank you or I appreciate what you did. No, they will go through the door and not even look back at you in some cases. But that shouldn't stop you from being a gentleman. That shouldn't stop you from being a lady because everyone around you is on uh, this this uh, this tribe that they grew up in or been around, where everything is just up in the air. Like who cares? You don't have to. You may come in up. Here's my thinking on that. You may come up in a poor, uh, hostile environment, but you don't have to turn out like that. Is my take on it. You don't have to. You make a choice if you're going to decide to be like that, or you're going to change, or you're going to uh, be strong enough to know that you have a choice to be a dignified, intelligent individual. And once you have that knowledge, it is your choice to decide whether or not you want to make that decision. But you don't have to be like all the other neighbors. One thing I will say is that where I live at, uh, I see many people every day. And when I was younger, all the females were the same for the most part. There were some really sweet ladies that I would meet at different times, and I would see them, and I would say, "Oh my God, she's really nice," because I wasn't used to seeing it every day. Uh, I wasn't used to seeing it once a week. I was used to seeing ladies who were really cruel. Um, and now, uh, where I where I work is an interesting place. A lot of people are identical. They are absolutely all the same. And you have a few that are different. So when I run across a person like a woman who's a thinker, who's intelligent in the sense that she lives a life that she chooses because she says, "Well, I don't want to be like the rest of them. I'm not like the rest of them. I am unique. I am special. I am great. I am a queen." And they fight for that mentally every day and make sure they stay on track. Um, and so when I meet people that are thinkers, I automatically gravitate towards that kind of person and want to have conversations with them, want to learn from them, and that sort of thing. So, you know, that's just my take on it. That's why I mean I learned so much when I grow plants, when I grow food. I learned so much from the plants. They show me life lessons, and it's a very special relationship you can have with putting something in the ground and watching it grow, and see something that small grow into something that is over 30 feet tall and weigh thousands of pounds. Speaking of a tree, and it's just amazing. That is amazing. And so now, this year, I give you a good example. I've already started putting seeds on the ground, and people say, "Well, what do you think about when you do this? It's a lot of tedious work." And I said, "No, depends on how you look at it." I said, "I look at it as a very special relationship. It's relaxing. It's a learning experience. It's I understand that without the plants, uh, there would be nothing on this planet, zero, because everything needs to come in that direction in order to survive. Everything. whether it be in the water or on land. Vegetation rules. Hello, good evening, good evening. Glad I caught you live. Yeah. Oh my goodness, yeah. I wish, you know what? I wish I had. Sometimes I wish I had a big audience like some people have. I watch some of the shows. Some of the shows are good. Some of them they're not talking about anything at all. Um, and but they have large audiences. They'll come online and immediately you'll just start seeing 150 people, 300 people online watching, 400 people online watching, 800 people online watching. And I say, how are they doing this? I said, is there some magic that they know about that deals with operating this YouTube, or uh, is there a way to get the word out? And I said, well, I've been doing this now for quite a few years on YouTube, quite a few. I have hundreds of videos, and I look at it now. Oh, and now, from my understanding, you don't even get paid for the videos. Mine said that they stopped payment due to the war. And I said, well, that's not going to stop me from making videos. Um, okay, you're in Baltimore County. Yeah, yeah. Um, and the thing about it is that when they stopped payment on everything, I looked, I said, wait a minute, I'm not getting anything, nothing. And I said, okay, well, that's all right. I said, it said, due to the war, uh, there's like a freeze on, you know, in processing any money towards you, or even records. I didn't see any records where it said how much I made last month or the month before that. And I said, well, why are you really doing this? I said, I'm doing this because I want people to grow more food. I said, if I can get people to grow more food and they can empower themselves, and I give them information, and it makes me excited when I see people um, growing food, getting more powerful, um, watching my channel, of course, and looking at it in a way that see younger people going to gravitate towards the channel. You know, you get in there, they got a young face, and or if it's a lady, they're definitely going to watch a lady. A lady's going to get definitely more views than a man would. I have watched that throughout the years, and also no disrespect intended. Caucasian people get more views than most African Americans, in my opinion. It depends on the subject. If it's about doing hair, then of course it's a toss up. But if it's about sex or about style, ladies are definitely going to rule in that sense. Um, but when it comes to and if you're a person that has like really fancy graphics and words that pop on the screen and little uh, things that go on in the background of and I haven't figured out yet how they do this. Here's one thing I'm learning that they do. They found a way, because I see quite a few people using it, where they put the background behind them, and I say, wow, how do you put the background behind them? It looks like a digital background, and so that is something I've noticed as well. Um, but I said, well, even if I don't learn that right away, I said my content is good because um, what I give people is knowledge on saving money on your garden, uh, getting it done sometime for a little or sometime nothing. And I've shown people how to fertilize their garden for free, how to save your seeds over the years, and that saves you money because seed prices are getting ridiculous, are already there. Um, so that is important. That's very important. And I look at it and go, I am so happy that I'm able to help. So that being said, the Moaning Gardener is doing this thing, and I want to keep on allowing people to eat. And, oh, it was a lady that hit me once before. She said, "Because of your show, I learned how to save money at my dinner table, and you helped me and my family to eat healthy food because the cost is much lower since I've learned how to grow some of my own food." And I said, "Wow, oh my goodness, that felt so good. That felt so good." And now I'm up to helping more people grow. Um, it's important to me. Thank you, thank you. I thought a little prayer hands like that. Emojis is what people call them. I just now started learning how to use some of those. Um, there is a change going on in society right now where first they were in our cars, now they're hitting our pockets for food, and uh, it's just getting more and more challenging to have healthy foods. And I have a backyard that once was pure, heavy uh, brown clay, and now I am getting more and more improvements in the soil. When I go to the stores, if you look at some of my videos, recent ones especially, and I look at the prices of things, and I look at all these soil, quote unquote, additives that they say this is Miracle Grow potting mix. This is so and so potting mix. This is what we call raised bed mix, and all of it is basically topsoil with a topsoil with wood in it mixed into it. Wood mixed into it, fertilizer, and it's just not worth giving somebody $11 for a bag. I had the truck pull up. I have the room for it. Could you dump those wood chips over here, please, sir? And I let them suckers sit out there for about a year. You don't have to wait that long to let them use. Just don't mix them into your soil. Don't mix them in your soil. Wood chips do not belong mixed in your soil. It will knock down the amount of nitrogen for a long time. And when you knock down the nitrogen, everything starts to grow extremely slow because you need the nitrogen to break down the wood. But if you lay it on top of the soil, it'll sit there and the biology will come up, knock off some, eat some, crawl back into the ground, crawl up through your wood chips, excrete their body waste, live and die in that mix. And you will love it because it'll become so uh, important to your plants. Food. A lot of us lose our plants because we don't feed our plants correctly. We will overwater, underwater, um, and that will definitely affect your plants. Let's see, I just put in front getting my garden together. There's some kale and lettuce out there. What? What? Mm-hmm. Using, okay, you put some of the things in the ground that I have just planted indoors. I'll give a good example. I put in. Let's see what you got here. I got in front of me getting my garden. Uh, blanket. Yeah, you got here. Yeah, kale. I got. Oh, there's a. I'll get to that in a second. I don't want to jump all over the place, but I put in kale. I can't remember the type, but it's a kind of kale I've never grown before. And then I found the seeds that I meant to put in the ground, um, and that kale It's something I've been growing on my property for the longest time. And when I grow it, what chip drops will drivers read my chips, but I have and ready to take a whole load. Let me see if I understand you correctly. When they come to your property, they want to drop the whole load, um, and they don't charge you anything. And people say, well, why would they go through all that? Because when they go somewhere else to dump it, there's a charge for dumping it in some cases. And when they dump it on your property, they don't charge any. They don't. They save money on the wood. Excuse me, not the wood, but on the truck dumping it. They save money. So that's $50 or $60 back to their money uh, that they get back into the kitty, so to speak. If a guy pays them $1,200 to cut down a tree, and they grind it up and put it in the truck, and then go take 50, $60 off to go dump it, and then they can come to your house, dump it, and keep that $50. Um, and there are tree cutting companies that I used to get on the phone with and say, "Hello, how you doing? Listen, I just want to let you know if you're ever in the area, here's my phone number, and let me know a day ahead of time if you want to drop some wood chips. I will be out there and show you where I want to drop them. And it's good to be out there because if they're not responsible for any property damage, if they run over your car in the driveway or run over your gate or anything, they're not responsible for it. But um, what I do is I move both cars out of the driveway, and he'll back up through there with this huge truck, uh, and he'll dump. And when he dump, I mean it's a lot. Don't I mean it's a lot. If it's a full truck, it's a lot. And once he dump, he'll lock up the back of the truck, pull off, and say thank you, and you say thank you, and you just gotta let that sit there. Then sometimes they have a tendency to call you again and again for other loads. If you can't take it, you just tell them, "Oh, I can't take it right now. I can't take it right now. This is going to probably hold me for 6 months." And then that way they know, that they can't come and dump. You want it that way because you don't want them to come dumping on your property while you're at work. You don't want them to do that because let's say if they got a job around and that's 3 truckloads, you come back home and your whole driveway disappeared because it's underneath 3 loads of wood chips. So they'll try to call you. My experience has been they always try to call you. And if they can't get you on the phone, someone might go, shoot, I'm dropping this. And someone might go, hello, how you doing when you get them on the phone? Oh, I can't take it today. And that's how that works. So what I did was I'll get the wood chips, let it rot down or break down for about um, a year. And then when I use my fireplace, I dump all my wood ashes um, into the what they call it, the wood chips, dump it all over the pile and everything, and it helps add some nutrients to it. That's what I do, and then whatever side of the wood chips is breaking down the most, that's what I start using it from. So I go get 5 gallon buckets of that and I dump it around my plants. That's what I do. I dump it around my plants. It is some of the best. I dump it around your fruit trees. It is some of the best nutrients you can get for these trees. Best you can get when you feed up a tree, uh, uh, in the winter and wait for spring to come. The wood chips being around the base of the tree is going to help regulate the temperature of the soil. It's going to help you with everything dealing with that tree. Nutrients. It's going to stimulate high levels of um, of organic matter, organic life around the base of that tree. And when that happens, look out. Big, fat, juicy peaches, apples that are big and round and healthy and sweet. Wait a minute. I say, do you have to? I said, do you have to remove any of it ever? I don't know what you mean. You talking about the wood chips? When they cut trees at my house, which, do I have to move it myself? Yeah, I guess the question you're asking is you have to move it yourself. I here's what I do. I put it in a spot where it can stay. So as I go through the year, go through the months, I just use what I need. It is nothing but uh, hundreds and hundreds. When it all breaks down, it's hundreds of pounds of compost is what it is. And you need compost throughout the year, throughout the gardening season. After you place it in the garden, gardens. All right, here's what I do. Mine is a little different. Everybody do something a little different. Some people cover the entire garden ground with the wood chips. That's the Paul Gauchi way of doing it. I don't do that. I just don't do that. I put it around the plants when it's time to feed them. When I put in a collard green, let's put it like this. I put in a collard green plant. Around the base of that plant goes an inch and a half to 2 inches of what do they call it? Wood chips that are already broken down. And when you water it, the wood chips create a tea, call it compost tea, and it goes down at the root base. Once it goes to the root base, it fertilizes that plant. You will get some collard greens with some of the biggest and darkest green leaves you ever did want to see. That's what happens. Good afternoon. Great. See the video again. Hello. How you doing? Yeah, your garden knowledge is excellent. Keep videos coming. I will do that, ma'am. I will do that. And the thing about it is, um, I always tell people this: if they keep it simple and always think about how nature does it, forget about what man does. Forget it. Forget about these videos that the guys sound like well, what you want to do is you want to buy some of this and buy some of that and buy some of this. You got to realize it's not the way to go. Ah, Miss Sue Miller. Hello, how you doing? I have good luck with wood chips. But the wood chips like them more than. Wait a minute, who likes it? Let's see. But the weeds like them more than I could handle. Let me just say this to you. Here's what I want to say to everybody. Let's talk weeds. I have a lawnmower. It is got a bagger on it, and it's the only reason why I bought this lawnmower. In my grass, front, side, back, I cut through my yard. I have some of the greatest growing grass and weeds you ever want to see. And when I go through them, it cuts and puts everything in a bag. And I dump that around my plants. A good little spacing around each plant, maybe an inch and a half, 2 inches deep of just grass clippings. Now watch this. Once I put that around it, the organic matter comes up to the surface, starts eating away at the grass clippings and the weeds that are chopped up. They eat, excrete, live, then die, all in that spot. And then when I water the plants, the water takes that matter, whether it be the grass clippings, the organic matter, organic life in the soil, it takes it down to the root base. The plant is like a pump, and it just starts drinking in everything that's in its root zone. And when it drinks in everything in its root zone, it's drinking in everything. That means organic matter. It means it's drinking in the organic life in the soil that lived, died, excreted its waste and everything. It drinks all that in. All that is nutrients for the plant. And you'll start noticing that you're getting the richest soil, you're getting the richest plants, big, burly, collard greens, kale, watermelon, cantaloupe, okra, all of it's growing tremendously well. All because you're using everything on your property, whether in the wood chips, using the grass clippings. Um, if you're doing any trimming to your trees, you cut those pieces up into manageable pieces and you put them around the base of your trees. Over time, it will decay and go back into the ground. I had logs in my yard that was that big around that I placed around the base of my trees years ago, and you can't find those logs now because they decayed and went right back to the ground. And I do believe that's why my peaches are so sweet. You dig? All right. So everything, keep it simple, keep it natural. And don't ever look at weeds and say, oh God, I hate these weeds. Oh, this is a horrible thing. I must do something. I got to do something. I got to get some kind of poison to put down for them. Oh, I got to get something to help me with these weeds. What to make weeds even worse is that as you keep digging in your soil and you keep plowing your soil and you keep hoeing your soil, you're making weeds come up. You're turning over soil that has seeds in it that some of them been there 30 years, and they start to come up when you do when you turn that soil over. Soil is just like your skin. It is going to develop a band-aid on it anytime it's naked. And that being said, when you get a scratch on your arm, a scab comes in and covers that area. Weeds are the reason why uh, uh, they're there to protect your soil. Also, weeds tell you what's going on in your soil. If you learn how to read weeds, you could tell if the pH is a certain thing by looking at and see what weeds are growing in that particular location. Um, is it your soil high in clay? There's certain weeds that love clay, so you're usually going to see them there. So as you start to look and be able to read what the weeds are telling you, you can better address uh, your soil conditions. Clay soil is not a bad soil. It's just a different type of soil, if that makes any sense. It's a different type of soil. And some plants grow well in clay soil. Some plants grow well in sandy soil. Some plants grow well in loomy soil. So that's how that works. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Morning Garden Show. Thank you so much for stopping by and visiting me. I wish you could have got more people in the room, but I guess I'm just not putting out a good enough content. But I do appreciate the people who do come into this room. They are special to me because they always come in and check and say hello and some actually will participate in the uh, in the show. They'll ask questions, they'll give answers, and I really appreciate that. Oh, great chat. Yes, thank you, thank you. All right, take care and have a great day. All right now, that went pretty good.